How's everyone doing today? I have a Blu-ray and DVD collection update right there. 8 pickups right there. And if you've seen these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them. First up is Troll Hunter on Blu-ray right there. And this is a Norwegian film. It goes into the folklore of trolls. And I thought this was an excellent movie. It's presented in the found footage style genre, which I'm not a huge fan of, but this is definitely one of my favorites now of the genre. I did a full movie review of this a while ago. If you want to check that out, just click right here. It'll bring you to that movie review. And this is just a lot of fun. It's about a group of college students. They're investigating some deaths of these local bears, and they run into this guy who's a troll hunter, and he says, you know, they're trolls. And at first they laugh it off, like this guy's crazy. And they see a troll, and they're freaked out, and they ask him, you know, can they go with him to kind of document the troll hunting? And they see all these different types of trolls. They learn about the different kinds, the species of them, and you know what they look like and what they're like. There's some really comedic scenes in here as well. And there's a part where they're in the cave and the trolls are farting, and it's just a lot of fun. And I highly recommend Troll Hunter. Really an exceptional found footage movie, very unique and inventive. And I heard that the U.S. is already working on a remake, which I think is just a shame. A lot of these movies don't need to be remade. They're unnecessary remakes. Like Let the Right One In was remade to be Let Me In, which was a decent remake, but unnecessary. Quarantine and Wreck, I mean, Quarantine I thought it had a little bit better acting, but again, it wasn't really necessary. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the original Swedish version, is a modern masterpiece. It was Hitchcockian. And the Fincher remake, again, I felt was completely unnecessary and pales in comparison to the original. In my opinion, I know that's not a popular American opinion because it did so well over here. But again, these movies, just read the subtitles. It doesn't take a lot. It's not, you're not cutting yourself to do it. It's not painful. Just work your mind a little bit. You know, the more you watch subtitled movies, the easier it gets for you to retain it. And, you know, these movies are so exceptional, a lot of these ones, and they don't need to be remade. They're unnecessary remakes, and they're being remade so quickly. I mean, Let Me In was remade from Let the Right One In, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, they were both remade within like, what, 2 to 3 years or something like that? It's ridiculous. There's no need for that. These are masterpieces, and they shouldn't be remade. And I feel the same way about Troll Hunter. It was a lot of fun, very entertaining, very unique. I love the designs of the trolls, and a very good found footage movie. I'm not a big fan of that genre, and I highly recommend Troll Hunter. Again, check out my review for it right here for more in-depth analysis. And next up is Sphere, directed by Barry Levinson, and stars Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, Samuel L. Jackson. Who else is in here? There's some other people in here. Liev Schreiber. And also has Peter Coyote and Queen Latifah's in here as well. This is based off a Michael Crichton novel. And Michael Crichton, may he rest in peace. A lot of novels that are adapted to film. And of course, you know, Jurassic Park is one of them that's, you know, they're just coming out with Jurassic Park 3D now. And basically, they discover, you know, 1,000 or however far down in the ocean, there's a perfect sphere down there, and they send these different scientists and people down there to investigate it. So they go down there and they're trying to find out, you know, where did this thing come from? You know, is there still life on board? And they're trying to figure everything out, and they find certain things out that kind of really surprises them, that doesn't make sense to them, and goes on from there. I think this is an interesting sci-fi horror film. I really enjoy this film, and I think it's kind of underrated as well. And I really like the psychological aspects to this as well. Psychological horror can be even more frightening than, you know, just straight in your face, blood and guts kind of stuff. And the psychological stuff is really important to this movie. Definitely adds a lot of suspense and thrills right here. And I think it kind of plays up the paranoia aspect as well. Kind of reminds me of Event Horizon a little bit. Event Horizon, you know, is in space obviously, and there's a lot more horror elements to Event Horizon. But Sphere does a great job of presenting, you know, the kind of paranoia aspects and, you know, the element right there, the human element, and definitely has some good tension and suspense to it. And my only criticism, slight criticism, is I wanted a little bit more from the ending. But again, great cast. I thought it was a lot of fun, very entertaining. And if you like sci-fi horror, I would say give this one a shot right here, Sphere. And next up is Sands of the Kalahari right there. This is from 1965. It's about a plane that crashes into a remote African desert. And it's basically a survival tale. I remember watching this forever ago. I haven't seen it in a long, long time. And I kind of like the parallel of the human element to, you know, the animals right there. Basically, you know, there's a group of survivors and they see these baboons and they're kind of, you know, very violent, and it kind of parallels the actions of the humans as well. And I remember this being a really excellent survival film. Again, I haven't seen it in a long time. And it stars Stanley Baker, and it's directed by Cy Edenfield, who directed Zulu. And it says that this was the 6th and final teaming of Baker and his Zulu director Cy Edenfield. So that's pretty cool as well. And basically, it kind of plays down to the, like I said before, the human element. Man is man's worst enemy kind of thing, and a very good and taut survival thriller right here, starring Stuart Whitman, Stanley Baker, and Susanna York. And also Nigel Davenport right there as the captain. Again, I really like this one. Been a long time since I've seen it. Can't wait to check it out again on Blu-ray. And this is from Olive Films. And I really do enjoy Olive Films for, putting out a lot of these films that didn't get released before. But I just wish they would have special features. A lot of these ones don't have any special features. That's the only drawback for that. And next up is The Skin I Live In from Pedro Almodovar. This was a masterpiece. This is a modern masterpiece in my opinion. I basically kind of did a short review of this, one of my top 10 films of 2011. So if you want to check that video out, just click right here. Go a little bit more in depth about it there. This is one of my top films of 2011. Going back, this could easily be #1. I liked it that much. It's riveting, it's engaging, it's a little dark and twisted. It's got a lot of sexuality, some violence in it. It's disturbing, very shocking. There's a twist that just kind of really blows your mind, and it's crazy out there. And I really thought everybody did a great job. Antonio Banderas, Elena Anaya is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. But then at the end of the movie with the twist, you're kind of like, you regret saying that. But still, again, this was, if you haven't seen it, I can't recommend this one enough. It's twisted. It's basically about the surgeon who's kind of trying to develop this synthetic skin to kind of withstand burns and scars and stuff, because he lost his wife in a car accident that caught on fire, and so he's trying to prevent that from happening in the future. And he has this test subject right there, and he's basically trying to do all this kind of procedures to her and surgeries to her to perfect this skin, the synthetic skin, but there's people trying to find out what's going on, what's taking so long, and they find out the connection between the patient and the doctor right there, and what the connection is pretty crazy and out there. It's a tragically beautiful film. It's disturbing, it's dark, it's twisted, it's visually stunning, it's an aesthetic masterpiece as well, very aesthetically appealing, and this is just a great thriller with really strong dramatic aspects to it. And this is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack right here. Go ahead and show you the artwork right there. Blu-ray and then the DVD. And there's interior artwork as well, which I always appreciate interior artwork. Antonio Banderas was awesome in this. One of my favorite roles that he's been in, actually. From Sony Classics right there, The Skin I Live In. Can't recommend it enough. And next up is Burning Bright. This is kind of a killer animal survival kind of horror movie right here. It's basically about a young girl and her autistic 12-year-old brother right there, and they're trapped inside this house during a hurricane. The house is completely boarded up. They can't get out. Everything's nailed shut, all the windows, all the doors, and there's a live tiger that's hungry and starving and trying to kill them, trapped in the house with them. So they're basically just trying to ride out the hurricane and survive against the tiger. And the 12-year-old boy, he's autistic, so that causes a little bit more of a challenge as well for her to kind of protect him as well. Actually very tense, very suspenseful. I think this is an underrated movie, Burning Bright. And if you like animal horror movies or survival kind of horror movies, I'd recommend checking this one out. They're trapped inside the house, and it's kind of twisted how they get trapped inside the house as well. Right there, and they show how they do the effects and everything like that. There's a little bit of CGI, not too much with the tiger, but they use a live tiger, which is pretty cool. Definitely a lot of tension and suspense in here. Kept me on the edge of my seat, so very happy to pick this one up and add it to my collection. And next up is Kingdom of the Spiders right here with William Shatner. Spiders freak the heck out of me, like arachnophobia freaks me out. Anything with spiders freaks me out. But I like kind of like pushing, myself to watch those kinds of movies that freak me out. So I watched The Kingdom of Spiders, just tons of tarantulas all over the place. It's basically about a small town that's being overrun by tarantulas. All this cattle and livestock are being killed off, and they're trying to figure out how, what's causing it. And they find out there's, I guess, a whole bunch of tarantulas, huge mounds of tarantulas, and slowly they're killing off all the townsfolk, and basically, the surviving members of the town are holed up in this hotel, and they're, trying to survive the night against these tarantulas, and, there's William Shatner right there. They have scenes with, crawling on the face, the tarantula crawling on his face, and, big swells from the bites, and people being covered in the spider webs and covered in tarantulas. It's just crazy. And there's some really cool special features in here as well, with audio commentary over the director John Bud Cardos. The commentary also has producer Ego Cantor, Spider Wrangler Jim Brock, which I thought was really cool, cinematographer John Morrell, moderated by Lee Christian, and Hostel producer Scott Spiegel. So that's pretty cool. Some rare behind-the-scenes footage, poster gallery, original theatrical trailer, and the whole featurette, Jim Brockett Spider Wrangler, was pretty cool as well. And the all-new interview with William Shatner, I really appreciate that. A big star like William Shatner doing a full interview like that. I see a lot of movies that I wish they would have commentary or interviews from big stars, but they just, they're too big for that now. So it's cool to see William Shatner doing that. And the Spider Wrangler featurette was cool and creepy. He shows all these different spiders, like which one's aggressive and all that. It's like poking at some of them. It's like, these ones are super aggressive. I'm like, yeah, that's alright. I think a little turtle head just popped out there. I don't want to see all those spiders. Basically, if you like spider movies and, insect kind of creature feature kind of movies, I'd say check out Kingdom of the Spiders. It's a little dated. The spiders don't seem too aggressive. They're just kind of walking around. They're crawling on people. It has a camp feel to it, of course, camp appeal. But again, spiders freak me the heck out, so I had to pick this one up right there. And again, it does have some artwork, interior artwork right there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's this cult classic about an Arizona town infested with a horde of arachnids that turn on humans, whose insecticides have depleted their natural food supply. So that's why they're turning on humans and being aggressive right there. But they're killing off the livestock first, and then now they're killing off the people. So spider movies, if you like it, check it out. Next up is From a Whisper to a Scream, which this was a really cool horror anthology movie. It stars Vincent Price. He's basically the narrator. He doesn't have a lot of screen time in there. I wish he would have more screen time. There's 4 stories essentially, and this has one of the coolest evil killer kid segments in here. If you like killer kid and evil kid type horror movies, I highly recommend checking out From a Whisper to a Scream. There's one at the very end, the last story about like the Civil War and these evil killer kids. Just crazy. One of my favorite evil killer kid horror movies essentially. It's only a segment on here, but one of my favorites personally. And this is also known as The Offspring. It's directed by Jeff Burr, who directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. He directed Puppet Master 4 and 5, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, Night of the Scarecrow, Stepfather 2, a bunch of other different movies, but I think he did a great job in this one. For me, this is my favorite from him. I just love horror anthology movies when they're done well, and this is definitely done well. Some really creepy stories on here. One of the segments has a glass eater who's falling in love with somebody. There's kind of like a circus voodoo thing going on, and there's another story where it's kind of like a romance, has a little bit of necrophilia going on. There's another one where there's like a voodoo priest with prolonging powers. It stars Clu Gallagher in here as well. And it's set in a little town in Tennessee called Oldfield, Tennessee, which, Vincent Price tells the story. He's like the historian narrating the whole, all the stories right there. And he's basically saying, this town has always been evil, and he kind of tells the stories from there. But great horror anthology movie. Definitely check that one out. And next up is Bad Ronald. This was a made-for-TV movie, and I waited forever for this to come out. Thank you, Warner Archive Collection. I really do appreciate that. Glad to see this one on here, and I haven't seen this in ages. And this is directed by Buzz Kulick, who also directed Bobby's Song as well, so that's pretty cool. But basically, this is about a guy named Ronald right there, who's been picked on, and he accidentally ends up killing the guy who's bullying him, and his mother kind of hides him in the house, and the mother ends up passing away, and the house ends up being sold, and new people move in there, and he's still hiding in the house. And you really feel sympathetic for Ronald as well. And personally, I think this is one of the better made-for-TV movies, better made-for-TV horror thriller movies right there. It's definitely very suspenseful, and the lead actor who plays Ronald, Scott Jacoby, he was in The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane with Jodie Foster, which I absolutely love that movie, totally eerie and creepy. And this one right here, again, very thrilling, and haven't seen this one in a while, so I can't wait to revisit it. And from the Warner Archive Collection right there. So there you go, there are my 8 pickups, and if you've seen these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them. Leave me a comment or a video response down below. Hope everyone's doing well. Take care.